the city of North Pole for our regular meeting, February 20th, 2024, in City Hall chambers. Try it again.
We are now.
Okay, so try it again. Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening at the city of North Pole at our regular city council meeting in City Hall's chambers for Tuesday, February 20th, 2024. Madam Clerk, can you call roll call, please?
Okay, Mr. Keller is out with an excused absence. Mr. Jacobson?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Mr. Turch? Mr. Skips?
Here.
Ms. Clack?
Here.
And Mayor Welch has asked to be included in the Zoom. So Mayor Welch is on the Zoom meeting. He will not have capabilities to speak in the meeting because the Zoom's not set up that way. But just FYI, Mayor Welch is attending on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No,
Yes, please.
thank you.
Father in heaven, we bow our heads gratefully this day. We are thankful, Father, for the return of warm weather and for the relief it provides us as we heat our homes and drive to and from work and school and other activities. We are grateful, Father, for those who have come out tonight to attend our city council meeting, both in person and on Zoom. We are very grateful, Father, for the liberties and freedoms that we enjoy in our country and for the holiday that we had yesterday to celebrate our national history and have a President's Day celebration. We ask for thy spirit to be upon us this night, that we will be open to ideas that are presented and shared to us, that we will understand what is the best way to move forward, that we will be clear in our actions, that it will be for the betterment of our community and our residents. And we say these things in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Approval of the agenda.
Move to approve.
Second, Skips.
On the motion to approve the agenda, Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Turch?
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson?
Yes.
Mr. Skips?
Yes.
Ms. Clack? And then that brings us to approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes for February 5th, 2024.
That would be Church.
Okay, on the motion to approve the minutes from the, what is it? February 5th council meeting, Mr. Keller, excuse me, is absent. Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Church, Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
And then that brings us to communications from the mayor.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I have Kira O'Connor please step forward? Kira, my name is Chandra Clack. I'm Pro Tem Mayor, and we're so honored to have you here with us this evening. We have been informed, young lady, that you have done exceptionally well in high school. We're highly impressed with all your skills. So the City of North Pole City Council wishes to honor Kira O'Connor for her high school, she's a high school student month. Had surgery and my throat goes out periodically on my voice. So when I hit a certain pitch, it disappears. So I'm sorry. Okay. So for February 24th, you are our student of the month. Here is your proclamation. Okay. May I have the honor of placing this around your neck? Would like to come up? Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and shake the hand.
And you folks are welcome to stay and attend the rest of the meeting, but you don't feel like you have to stay. Congratulations, Kira.
Congratulations, Kira. You too.
You too.
And keep up the good work. Yes. I have Benny who will be reading the Black History Month proclamation.
Good evening, everybody. Now I'm going to try to read this in a way in which won't put anybody to sleep. I don't want to do that. So bear along with me. Let me see, the Office of the Mayor, City of North Pole proclamation. And it says, whereas the soul of America is what makes us unique among all states. We are the only country in the world founded on an idea. It is the idea that we all are created equal and deserve to be treated with equal dignity throughout our lives. While we still grapple today with the moral stain and vestige of slavery, our country's original sin, we have never walked away from a fight to fully recognize the promise of America for all Americans. Throughout our history, Black Americans have never given up on the promise of America, unbowed by the forces of hate and undaunted as they fought for centuries against slavery, segregation, and injustice. Black Americans have held a mirror up to our nation, allowing our country to confront hard truths about who we are and pushing us to live up to the founding ideas. Whereas in 1976, the Americans celebrate the national bicentennial, President Gerald Ford urged the nation to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every era, endeavored throughout our history, and for the first time, Black History Month was celebrated nationwide. And President Ford's words rang true to the nation. And in the spirit, we recognized and celebrated the incredible roles of African Americans have played in Alaskan history and their many contributions to the well-being of our state. The strong and positive influence that African Americans have had on our state started long before statehood, as African American men migrated to Alaska to work as whalers, fur traders, and eventually gold miners. And we have long benefited from the contributions of outstanding African American men and women, including Willard Bowman, who moved to Alaska after serving in the U.S. Navy, was appointed the first director of Alaska Human Rights Commission in 1963, and later served 3 terms in the Alaskan House of Representatives. You know, this month we honor our African American neighbors, their accomplishment, their contributions, and celebrate the distant influence they have on the cultural fabric of our great state. In Alaska, we encourage all Africans to recognize the continuing impact African Americans have on our state and the lasting contributions they bring to the success of our communities. Now, therefore, I, Cassandra Clack, Mayor Pro Tem of the City of North Pole, do proclaim that February 2024 is Black History Month. And she signed it, and we're good to go.
Thank you, Benny.
And did you have anything else to report, Ms.? No.
No, the voice is going out, so we'll save it.
Were there any council members that had questions of the mayor?
Seeing none.
Are there any citizens that would like to comment? There's a public testimony register that you're welcome to fill out here on the tape.
Seeing none.
Okay. That brings us to communications from department heads and borough representative.
Presently, we do not have a borough representative, but we'll start with Danny.
I do think, did you go to a borough meeting since the last council meeting?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so
So
we
can
do
talk
have that,
about
but
that?
no, Danny, we'll go ahead and have you come up. And Benny, you'll speak after the two.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll cover a couple special topics and then we'll go over what's going on within the departments. Most of you might have remembered that we are doing a strategic plan, a community plan update. This was we talked about it last year as far as an update to the document that should guide the city's decisions. It's outdated. It was done in 2016, and the contractors that did that original one offered for actually a very, very low price as far as planning funds to do a refresh to this. Mayor Pro Tem Clack, Councilmember Jacobson, and department heads participated in the kickoff meeting in late January, beginning the process. And the next step is to communicate this information and begin collecting data for interviews with key individuals. Tomorrow, I'll try to send out, they sent me an update today, and I'll try to forward that to the council so you know where we're at on this. But the next step in the strategic planning process will be for Agnew Beck to talk to some of the key individuals within the city and in the community and talk about the current trajectory of the city's vision and goals. And that'll be the second step in the process. But I'll keep the council informed along the way is how we're doing on that. The second thing to talk about for special topics is we actually did get our first grant awarded based on some of the grant efforts from last year. We did get the State and Local Security Grant Program Award. This is from the Alaska Division of Homeland Security. And this is a little bit different than the one that the police department had applied for. The police department applied for one which we were included on that provided a physical security grant to the city services. This one is different where it's a cybersecurity assessment. It's $31,000 to do that for the city. It won't become official. They'll send an official award letter next month. But this is one of the grants that we did have Two Bears Consulting provide assistance with pulling together the grant packet. So it hasn't, Two Bears Consulting, it hasn't completely paid for itself, but it is $30,000 that we were going to get as far as a needed needed assistance. I don't know if any of the council members got anything today, but today I did get a phishing email from someone asking me to change my password. Those types of things would be what this grant would try to address and see if we're vulnerable for those types of things and suggest ways to improve our cybersecurity program. For Public Works, certainly everyone's seen the last week or last time I was talking about unseasonably low temperatures. Now we're talking about unseasonably high temperatures. There were no significant city systems that were impacted. Although we did actually have an episode of fuel oil delivery, a problem with fuel oil delivery to the police department. Police department ran out of fuel oil over the weekend. It was quickly corrected, and we're working with our contracted fuel firm to make sure that doesn't happen again. But again, the system works as far as calling our public works folks in the middle of the night because there's a problem with a boiler because a room is too cold. They got in and they figured it out and they found out that there was no fuel. So again, that was a good opportunity for us to test the system for emergency reaction for folks for those types of things. We were able to now link security cameras in the city hall, entryway and outside to the computers that are inside the billing area here in City Hall. It was a request of the folks that work there, both for security, but also just to see when folks are coming in and who it is that's coming in so they can provide better customer service. We had a request for skid steer for Public Works. It's something that we budgeted for last year or for this year, and that the bidding closed on February 14th. And we're going to have a purchase recommendation for the mayor and council to approve on March 4th. We did have a board that went through and reviewed the bids, and again we went with one that's appropriate. It actually ended up being on all sides the lowest bidder and provided all the appropriate information. We're also seeking to establish a hiring list for the Public Works Department, similar to what the fire department does, where they've got a list that they can pull people off of as far as nominate them to be part of the Public Works or part of the department. The bottom line is we anticipate a couple of personnel openings, or at least one personnel opening coming in the next couple months. And so we are going to do interviews that we have a list that we can pull off of and again, go through the hiring process. We've had great support from the Human Resources Department, and that position did close, and we'll interview folks in the next couple of weeks. For the building department, the only significant ongoing construction, as you may know, is still in the Pizza Hut building. There's no exterior significant work that will be done, but there is some interior work. They are complying with our permitting process. And again, we expect an increase in building applications in the spring. For utilities, last week, we did have a water leak in the Ford subdivision, the water in the ditch near Fifth Avenue and Rawson's Crossway. The utilities folks did find the potential source, and they'll begin digging on that sometime tomorrow. But we don't anticipate any issues with getting this fixed. This happens sometimes where we do have these types of leaks. The most important thing is to identify the potential area and then dig in the right place. And we have all the tools. We're getting support from a local construction company as far as making sure that we don't do damage when we dig to other things in the area. So that is on track. But if you do get any questions about that, again, it's being addressed. We are seeking to fill an upcoming vacancy on the utilities side. The position's currently advertised as of today on the city's website, and we're seeking candidates. And if you happen to know anyone that would like to work in the utilities department, please let us know. And that's all I have, and subject to any questions that the council members may have.
Yes, Benny.
As far as for the fuel, do we have a way to, let's say, for the fuel to remotely notify us and let us know that the fuel is low? Is there a process ongoing for that?
We don't have a system like that in place.
Okay.
Right now, we did have an exterior alarm that was going off that
Yes, sir.
they noticed. And again, the red light was blinking. One of the red lights was blinking. These are on auto refill, and it's something that today I contacted the contractor who provides the fuel, and they're checking out what happened, and we're going to try to make sure that doesn't happen again. But we don't have an automatic system that tells us that the fuel is getting low. It's again, it's based on the measurements, and we have a fuel gauge in the boiler rooms, but again, unless someone's there, they can't really monitor when that fuel gets
It could have been possible that that cold spell we had, because I noticed everybody's fuel tank was running.
We think it was overlooked, that there was operator error.
Oh.
They filled City Hall, but they didn't fill
They
the
forgot to get
department.
that one?
Yeah. I think that's what we found out. Just like everyone else,
Yeah.
they are short on drivers. And,
Right.
and again, I think the first word that we got is it was a new driver that hadn't done it before. So
Good excuse.
well, that's what they told us initially, but that may not be completely accurate, but we're digging into it and trying to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Okay.
Yes, Larry,
Yes,
question?
Serge.
I'm sure that you put it on the website, but not every.
And the notification did go out through we have the contact information on the billing statement, so it does go out through emails. It goes out through the information that we have. I'm not sure if we did a mass text. I think we may have done a mass email about that. But I can check into that and see how we did that. But from the billing statements, we use that information to contact customers about things like this. So.
Any other questions? Okay, I have one. Larry was saying for the water to be cut off tomorrow. So is water going to be cut off tomorrow? Or is that just a general question?
Because of again, that main, the leak.
A leak on
The leak
Fifth?
for that targeted area, there's going to be some water that's going to have to be cut off. And I suspect they may have done door hangers, or they may have gone to individual homes, but it's a targeted area. It's not a widespread area throughout the city.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to do, clarification. So that clarification would be on Fifth, down through that.
It's in that
that
area.
area.
Fifth and Rosin, and the other ones that are along that main line.
Okay,
So.
all right.
I got a question.
Yes, Benny.
Do we know whether or not it's a main line or not? It's not a main line.
They have to dig into it to determine whether it's actually on the water main or it's a service connection from a customer's house to that. So that's what they'll find out tomorrow when they start digging. They think they found the location, but really until they get into it, they won't know whether it's a city responsibility. If it's a main line, the city is responsible for those. If it's a service line that comes from the customer's house, the customer will be responsible for that.
Okay, any other questions?
Oh, one more.
One more, Benny.
If it's coming from a customer house, I don't know whether or not the individual will be able to, pay for it right then and there. Will we be able to put that individual on some type of plan if it's gonna cost a whole lot?
But normally what happens is the actual cost of the excavation, that excavation company will bill the customer, and then it'll be between those folks on what happens. There have been times when customers will dispute that, or they'll talk to us, and then we work it on a case-by-case basis on how we do that. But if the city, again, the city's responsibility ends at the main line, and after that is the customer's responsibility. But if there are complicating issues, then certainly we can look into it and see what we can do.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you, Danny. Chief, can you please come up? Heineken?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just a little closer. So I had the privilege of attending the Alaska State Fire Chiefs Leadership Summit in Juneau the first week of the month. I missed the last meeting. And big thank you to Assistant Chief Chambers for filling in for me while I was gone. As always, no problems there. They handled the fort well in my absence. But while we were in Juneau, it was a great it's a conference basically. They call it a leadership summit, but it's a Chiefs conference is what it is, where we actually do some learning and bring in speakers and have some education. And more importantly, we take advantage of the time to get up onto the Hill and talk with our local legislators as a group of fire chiefs representing the state, really trying to discuss fire safety and emergency response within our communities and what it takes to maintain those responses. The state legislators have a big pull in what we can and cannot do within the state. So really good conversations with our legislators. Of course, no big promises from any one of them, of course. They're not expecting to have uh, abundance
And
of revenue to be able to help in any specific spot. But the one thing for us specifically in North Pole that I was really happy with is I'd mentioned at a previous meeting that the state fire chiefs had actually put together a list of some of the fire station projects from around the state that are pending funding, that these fire stations need to be built. And of course, I had our fire station on that list with like day one that they started to open that up, one of the first ones probably to hit the list. Overall, there was about $287 million worth of fire stations throughout the state that hit this list. We were able to talk with people up on the hill, and we don't have any hope really that it's going to make any progress this year with the state, but it definitely has generated some interest with some of the legislators. We really got a lot of positive feedback looking into the future that they realize that that's capital improvements that, like I said, they're looking at it as a statewide, not just for City of North Pole, but our fire station project is on that list, and and it's at least a foot in the door to try to look for one avenue of funding for this new fire station. So yeah, I'm really thankful to be able to take the week and to go to Juneau. On to more local things. Training, of course, at the fire station is continuing ongoing. It's really busy right now, as we had mentioned before. We have the Firefighter One Academy and then the EMT One class, both going on at the station currently. So tonight, we have a lot of recruits at the station. Going through the education that they need to bring them up to the standards that we expect to be able to respond to emergencies with our department or other area departments. So we're once again really glad to host some of these classes right here at North Pole Fire Department. So for the last year, as you all know, I've talked about it many times, we've been planning and preparing for these apprentice positions that we've planned for and we've budgeted for and we're preparing for. So we actually posted the job at the beginning of the month and already receiving a lot of feedback. When I was in Juneau, I actually had fire chiefs approaching me, asking me about the positions and really had a big interest in it for their junior firefighter programs in their local high schools, actually, a big interest from them. But more importantly, we're seeing applications already. We've received applications, and the application period remains open until March 31st. So anybody that is listening to this tonight, if you have students that are graduating seniors this year that by any realm would think a career in emergency services would be for them, I definitely encourage you to look into this program. This is a way to come right out of high school, get your foot in the door with a paid position to learn the career functions and come away after 12 months with the basic certifications needed to apply for full-time career positions. So as you all know, I'm very excited and passionate about this program. So I'm glad to see that applications are rolling in. And the last thing I have tonight, a little bit less excited to talk about, is Sunday evening, our engine did respond to a mutual aid structure fire off the Badger Road community. And unfortunately, there was one fire fatality from that fire. By the time the first arriving units arrived on scene, the building was fully involved with flames. There was no attempt at rescue at that point because there was no survivability of that type of structure at the time that first firefighters arrived on scene. So this is a sobering reminder of the importance of working smoke detectors. Right now, that fire is under investigation from the State Fire Marshal's office. I have no idea what started the fire, what the real conditions are, but I know history has told us that your chances of escaping your home that is on fire dramatically go up with working smoke detectors in your house. We rarely ever see I can't think of a fire fatality in my career where we knew there was a working smoke detector in the building. You know, there's always those cases where entrapment could happen, but in general, a smoke alarm in your home will alert you and at least allow you to escape. You know, homes are rebuildable, but the loss of life is tragic always. So, so when you go home tonight, if you haven't checked your smoke alarms recently, you know, this is a good reminder that maybe today's the day to check your smoke alarm. That's all I have for you tonight. I can take any questions.
Any questions for Chief? Seeing none? Thank you, Chief. Our borough representative.
Oh, that's me, right?
That's you, Benny.
Ooh. Okay, I went down to the borough meeting. The first thing I said, okay, this is my first day here. Be easy on me. They all bust out laughing. But anyway, the two things I got out of them that was very important was in reference about closing schools, cutting jobs. And that was an issue that didn't go over with too many people. Another issue was building an animal shelter. There was some that didn't go over neither. They didn't like that. Another issue was that they was going to try to raise the what I want to say, mill rate on people's houses, and one individual said he didn't get notified that they was trying to do this, and that wasn't a happy situation there for about 2 or 3 minutes because they were very upset about that. But it looked like that at that particular time they all passed it except one, and from what I saw, that if certain individuals didn't get notified, then it should have been voted down, but they didn't do it. They all voted for it. So that's how they think. That's what I saw. And outside of that, I think as soon as I told them what was going on here with us, then I booked out around about 7 o'clock. So I was good to go. Anything else after that, I can't tell you what went on.
Okay. Thank you, Benny.
Mhm.
Any questions? Seeing none?
City clerk report, is that what you're?
Yes, City Clerk.
We're continuing to just find projects in the clerk's office that will keep us very busy. I didn't form any kind of formal report for this evening. There's been a whole lot of life that's gone on since the last council meeting. But we're here and the agenda's here and the website's updated. So I have nothing really to report unless there's questions from the council.
Any council questions? Seeing none? Moving forward, ongoing projects.
And I didn't have anything, so looks like we're moving on to, there's nothing also for unfinished business, so that'll move us on to new business.
New business, ordinance 2024-02, an ordinance amending the NPMC Title II, Chapter 36, Section 050, categories of employees and apprenticeship. Thank you, Chief.
Yep. So back to our apprentice positions. I love talking about this, as if you cannot tell. So part of the development of this, we realized looking at city ordinance that we didn't have a category of employee that a true apprentice that is on the job training type apprentice fit into. So we had a meeting between myself, the city clerk, city HR and finance, and kind of looked at what we currently had and what we needed to create. So this ordinance would create a 6th classification of employee in city ordinance that is titled an apprentice. And the employee in this category is doing on-the-job training to gain experience, education, and certification necessary to qualify for career positions within a specific career field. The position may be full-time or part-time for a term no longer than 24 months. Apprentice employees are not eligible for leave with pay or medical, hospitalization, life and accident insurance benefits extended to permanent full-time employees. So, I've made you aware that we were going to bring this last month when we were talking about it a little bit more. So, with pressing on, this is one of the final last steps we really have last hurdle really to get over other than just hiring apprentices. So I would much appreciate if we could pass this ordinance.
Any questions? Seeing none,
Public testimony.
public testimony,
And Chief, if you just want to stay there,
please.
is there any public testimony on this ordinance? Okay, and then seeing none?
Move to introduce and advance ordinance 2024-02, an ordinance amending North Pole Municipal Code Title II, Chapter 36, Section 050, categories of employees, apprentice.
I'll second.
Madam Mayor, we've got a comment, please.
Comment?
Yes. During our employee staff meeting, I expressed concern about the apprentice program, if it would trigger PERS retirement contributions and obligations on behalf of the city. And Chief Heineken was able to confirm with the PERS in Juneau, PERS personnel in Juneau, that this position would not be required nor eligible for retirement. So this is a great win for the city and also for this apprentice program, because there's not going to be any long-term obligations for the city because we've created a new employee class or position.
Okay. Thank you, Chief, for researching that out further since our staff meeting. And I agree, this is going to be great. Looking forward to seeing this kick off. Any other comments? Seeing none?
On the motion to advance ordinance 2024-02, an ordinance amending North Pole Municipal Code, Title II, Chapter 36, Section 050, categories of employees, apprentice, Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Turch,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, that moves us on to Resolution 2024-03, a resolution establishing the transfer of funds from Mount McKinley Bank to City of North Pole AML Investment Pool account. Is there any public comment from anybody?
Seeing none?
Was there a staff report or council questions or anything? Tricia's not here to speak to it.
I don't, you're going to go ahead and
I
speak to
can
it?
speak to this if you'd
Yes,
like me to.
please.
Yeah, because this involves the fire department fleet funds. I had conferred with, actually, CFO Fogarty brought this to my attention, over a month ago, that we have a significant amount of savings in the fire department fleet fund that currently is not making a lot of interest. And if we moved it to an AML account, it would be more beneficial for the city, in the fire department fleet fund specifically, to earn more fundings. So as you know, our fire engines are extremely expensive, so we do have to save and let that build up to the point where we can actually buy these expensive $1 million fire apparatus. So the 2023 budget allowed us to put just over $200,000 into the fire department fleet fund that was put into there in this January. And that's about what we predict every year, is about $200,000 going into that fleet fund. When we look at the replacement schedule, it actually isn't enough. So having an interest-bearing account would help build that a little bit further and get us closer to breaking even when we look at our replacement schedule of our current apparatus. You know, we've got an ambulance on order right now, and in a few years, we'll be looking at ordering the next fire engine, which we know will be well over $1 million at that time. So this just made great sense. CFO Fogarty assured me that moving this there is fairly easy. It should draw a better interest rate. And then when it does come time to actually make purchases that this funding is needed, it is very easily moved back into the city accounts to be able to make those. So I highly encourage to pass this. It just makes financial sense.
Any questions? Seeing none?
Move to approve resolution 2024-03, a resolution establishing a transfer of funds from Mount McKinley Bank to the City of North Pole AML Investment Pool Fire Department Fleet account.
I'll second.
Any questions?
A comment.
Comments, excuse me?
I'm just excited that we are going to increase our interest percent by 300%, going from a 1.51% up to a 5.36% interest rate. That will make that money grow much faster. So good job, everyone.
Yes, very good.
Chief, I got one
It's-
question.
Yes, go ahead, Ben.
How often do we buy fire trucks?
Every truck, we kind of have a 30-year, they last about 30 years.
They last
So
30 years?
So we have 4 frontline trucks. We've got 2 engines, a rescue and a platform. And they are spread out. And actually, I think I have it here. I can give each of you kind of what
I can get that.
I've actually
can
got a spreadsheet that shows when they're expected for replacement and kind of a ballpark using about 3% increase each year in costs.
They all staggered, right?
Yeah, they're staggered to a point. The ambulances are every 4 years. We need new ambulance.
Okay.
So those fall in more regularly, and that's where we get it up to this $500,000, and then we
Yes,
buy
sir.
an ambulance and it slams us right back down. And then we get it up a little bit, and then we buy an ambulance and it slams us right back down. So it's gonna be really tight to purchase the next engine that we need in a few years.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Benny. Any further questions? Seeing none? Go ahead, Madam
All
Clerk.
right.
Call her.
Okay, on the motion to approve resolution 24-03, resolution establishing the transfer of funds from Mount McKinley Bank to City of North Pole AML Investment Pool account. Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church. Yes. Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Jacobson.
Yes.
Okay, so that takes us to resolution 2024-04, a resolution for approval of the distribution to the attorney fees to CSC Inc. for City versus Williams at $2,100,002. And Mr. Zane is here to speak on that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
As I stated earlier, I'm happy to report that I assume the longest litigation the city's ever been involved in is concluded. This resolution is kind of the final wrap up of that. My firm and myself have been prosecuting this litigation for 10 years since we had our fee agreement, and we had a couple, 2 or 3 years before that where we were looking at these issues and moving this thing forward. So this is kind of the final phase of it. More or less, there may be a little bit of a sequel. We'll see how that goes, but I'm here just to ask the city council to approve the distribution of the attorney fees that we had sent out to the city as part of the original resolution with Flint Hills back in 2017. And I'm just very happy we're here and able to wrap this up. And that, I'm happy to answer any other questions that anybody has.
Any questions? Seeing none? I believe there's an amendment.
A public testimony.
Oh, public testimony. Thank you. Public testimony. Anybody online?
Yes,
Seeing none, hearing none?
yes. This is Mayor Welch calling.
Let's see, so we need a motion to approve.
Hello.
Motion to approve resolution
Are they paying
twenty
attention?
twenty-four 4 resolution to approve the dispersal of attorney's fees to
Send
Cook
a
Schuman
message
and
to the
Grill
clerk
Close
right now.
Inc. Regarding North Pole City versus Williams.
I'll second.
Move to amend resolution 2024-04 by changing the dollar
Hand
amount
is raised.
owed in contingency fees to CSG Inc. To $2,089,186.42.
Second.
Skips. Is there any discussion
Seeing none?
on the motion to amend? Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church,
Yes.
Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Jacobson,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
And on the motion to approve resolution, on the
Com-
motion to
comment.
approve,
Comment.
Comment.
oh, I apologize. Thank you.
It just came to my attention that during this 13-year saga, some of
One.
those years, my son Aaron worked here at the city of North Pole in the clerk's office as an assistant. And I think he spent many hours making tons of copies of documents for you and scanning them in electronically. He'd
I
come
want half
home
that $100.
with his eyes red from scanning nonstop for days and weeks. So I'm glad it's over and done with.
Did you send her a message on it?
Thank you for all your work.
Thank you, Zane. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none?
On the motion to approve Resolution 2024-04, a resolution to approve the dispersal of attorney fees to CSG Inc. regarding City versus Williams for $2,089,186.42. Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Church. Yes. Ms. Clack, Mr. Jacobson.
Yes.
And thanks again, Zane. We highly appreciate you. Drive safely, and we'll catch you
All
next
right.
time.
Be safe out there.
And then that brings us to the next item on the agenda. This is the request to council for streetlight surveys and analysis to Respect LLC, 25,360.
Thank you. Recommended council approval to contract with Respect LLC to conduct a streetlight survey and analysis to assess selected areas for adding and improving street lighting. Cost for this is $25,360. And this was submitted as part of our public works budget. The information and details are in the packet. And again, this is intended to improve safe travel for both pedestrians and vehicles, and also establish a plan that both complements the current light scheme that's within the city and something that's affordable for the city, because we do understand that streetlights cost a significant amount of money, and we are trying to come up with a plan that's both safe and affordable for the city. So bottom line, I recommend City Council approves this spending, and I can answer any questions.
Any questions? Yes, Benny.
The city lights that we are gonna be working on, are we talking right at corners and not like the long stretches going down the street?
And I think it depends. That's kind of what the survey is about. There may be some areas within those long stretches that kids are crossing the street in the middle of the night. So that's what this survey will determine. Primarily, initially, we think it's going to be the intersections that don't have lights right now.
Okay.
So
Yes, Larry.
this was not put out to bid. No. We have a contract, a master services agreement with Respect, but it was not put out to bid.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Seeing none?
Public testimony.
yeah,
Public testimony? Seeing none? Nobody online? Seeing none? Okay.
Move to.
Move
Oh,
to-
wait, Dan.
Yep, thank you.
I move to approve the streetlight survey and analysis respectfully LLC, $25,360. Can I get a second?
Second, Skips.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving to the next one, Danny, which is the
Gotta
recommendation.
vote on it.
Oh, vote, excuse me. Got to vote.
Okay, on the motion to request to council streetlight survey and analysis, Respect LLC for $25,360. Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church, Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Jacobson.
Yes.
And that brings us to the next item on the agenda. This is a recommendation to council, the City Water Main Design Award. Danny?
Thank you. So the city received two proposals for the design of the city's water main. And we've talked about this before in front of the council, that certainly the city's water main is failing. We need a plan, a long-term plan to address that issue. This is an effort to contract a firm to do planning. Funds for this are coming from the state revolving fund. We did obtain a loan. It was approved by the voters back in October to fund this. But the second step in this is to determine an engineering firm to do the analysis and come up with a shovel-ready project for the city. We had two proposals for the water main engineering analysis and project, one from Respect and one from Stantec. We routinely deal with both of these engineering firms, and they do have ongoing projects with the city. The proposal was advertised from December 20th, 2023 to January 17th, 2024. We extended that advertisement because of the holiday season, but we wanted to get things moving on this. And the evaluation team met at the end of January, which included members from the city council and staff representatives. After reviews were complete, we determined that one of the packets fully conformed to the requirements and the other packet did not fully conform. Both packets were, again, professionally done. They did meet most of the requirements, but one met all of the requirements. The second one did not. And as a result, the second bid was rejected. We recommend awarding the planning and design contract to Respect LLC. And I'll answer any questions. Again, on your packet, there's some additional details that I'm happy to go through, but I can answer any questions of the council right now.
Any questions, council? Seeing none? Any comments?
Testimony.
Testimony? Any testimony? Seeing none? Anybody online? No? Move to,
Move to award the city water main design award to Respect LLC.
Second, Skips.
Is there any discussion?
discussion, Jeff?
Just a comment. I sat in on the review team that looked at both proposals. Both of these design firms were excellent, and the scoring spread was very tight. So it wasn't like one outshone the other. Either one of them would have been a good choice, which is not always the case when you have bids come in. So this was a win for us to have two good candidates, and Respect complied with all the bid requirements, so they got the upper hand on that one. And I'm excited that we're finally moving forward with fixing our aging
main.
senior geriatric water system.
A good way of calling it old. Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none?
That brings us to council member
We
comment.
got to vote.
We
Oh
gotta
gosh,
vote,
I'm
yeah.
so sorry.
Call the vote?
Okay, on the recommendation to council, City Water Main Design Award to Respect LLC, Mr. Skips,
Yes.
Ms. Clack,
Yes.
Mr. Church, Mr. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Jacobson.
Yes.
And that brings us to council member comments. I
Thank you,
do,
Danny.
oh,
Thank you.
prior to going into council member comments, I do want to notate that on the city's website, if you want to testify, you need if anybody's online and wants to testify, I just need to know by 1 o'clock the day of the meeting, so I can include anybody that's online. It does say on the website that you need to let the clerk's office know prior to 1 p.m. on the day of the meeting. Please indicate what you wish to speak for. So if there's anybody out there online, I needed to be noticed prior to the 1 o'clock deadline to have public testimony here. To connect the Zoom, I have to have forewarning to make all the things connect behind the scenes. So I do apologize that I could not include the person that is online and wanted to speak to an item. But under council member comments, I'd just like to notate that is recognized and it is the requirements that is out there. So with that being said, Mr. Skips, would you like to start off council member comments?
Yeah, with the warmer temps, the state went out and they winged down the shoulders, the main shoulders of the roads. You'll see how it's winged down, grass showing. Just a reminder that it's February. Chances are it's going to snow again. Be careful where the shoulders are, because once you get out the side, you're gonna get sucked into the ditch. So, come on, it's February. You know it's gonna snow again.
Not in my book.
That's all I have. Thanks.
And Mr. Jacobson?
Thank you. I have a couple things. One is Arctic Man for 2024 was canceled, in case you didn't know. So I have the sad article that was out in the papers, so you can just pass that around. Due to bureaucratic red tape in Juneau with DNR and fees, instead of it being a $6,000 deal, it became a $100,000 cost to host the Arctic Man, which they didn't have enough time to fundraise, but they are planning to come back in 2025. Also, what made the headlines last week was that the state of Alaska submitted their state transportation improvement plan to the Federal Highway Administration. It was soundly rejected by the Federal Highway Administration for significant failure to comply with the grant requirements for the different funding of projects. This has never really happened in our area before, but there were multiple projects that were submitted by DOT on behalf of the administration, the governor's office. For example, the 3 historic bridges around Delta, the Moose Creek Bridge upgrade, and also the Steese Highway. Those did not go through the local planning process, which is called the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan. It has to go through the local planning process first, and then it gets included into the state STIP, and there's a public process there, and that was completely bypassed. And that also happened with the Anchorage MPO. They had projects inserted that didn't go through them. There were quite a few projects that the comments in the paper, in the documentation you received was when they reviewed it, we're not really sure what this project is going to do. We need more detail. Or how can you design and do utilities in the same fiscal year? And so it's unfortunate. I think this might be the case of a lot of turnover in DOT planning, that we have perhaps younger, inexperienced people putting together this. They only have 2 weeks to fix the problems and get it submitted by March 1st so that it can get approved by the end of March. Otherwise, all the projects that are listed in the State Transportation Improvement Plan will not happen this summer. So the cleanest way for them to do is just fix the little things that need just details, but the stuff that need to go through Fairbanks and Anchorage MPO, those are DOA and just should be stripped out in order to get the other projects. They're quite, I included in the back of it a table of all the different projects and the comments from the Federal Highway Administration. That's what the comment section is. And it's unfortunate that that happened, and stay tuned. Last week, I had the opportunity of attending the Alaska Miners Association Black History Month presentation called Fairbanks Black Gold Rush. And Joan Skilbred is a local historian who shared various historical figures that are African-American Black miners in our community during the gold rush days, and it was fascinating. And I just want to share one of the miner stories, and this is William T. or Bill Ewing, E-W-I-N-G. He is one of the richest miners in the North. A lot of people came to Alaska, to the Yukon, to the Nome Gold Rush, and very few left with money in their pockets. He's one that was very successful. So much so, that he was able to spread his wealth throughout his life to make major contributions to those around him. But just to give you a little bit of history about his time as a gold miner in the north. In 1896, he arrived in Circle, worked claims on the Bonanza Creek here in the Fairbanks area. Then he moved up to the Nome Gold Stampede in 1900. Later, he came back to Fairbanks area, and with Jesse Noble of Noble Street fame,
Mhm.
he partnered with him, and they did mining claims on the Delta River and the Slate Creek. And then later in 1902, he partnered with Daniel McCarty, and they mined on the Fairbanks Creek. Just to show you how successful that claim was of all the ones he did. From April 17th, 1904, they worked 90 days, and their net profits after all expenses was $40,000, which was probably close to $1 million in today's dollars.
Wow.
90 days work. That's how rich that claim was. What Mr. Ewing did with his gold profits, he invested in real estate here in the interior, made that money grow. He then eventually moved to Oakland, California, invested in mining and real estate, and then became president of the Trinity Mining Company, a very successful mining company in that part of the West. At his passing in 1923, he left the bulk of his estate, which was over $150,000. In today's dollars, that would be $2 million, to the Booker T. Washington University. Booker T. Washington University no longer is called that, it's now called the Tuskegee University. And his donation of $150,000 in 1923 was a game changer for that university. It is now a highly regarded university for research and development. I had to Google it because I couldn't read my notes from the presentation, but just to kind of give you an idea of what our gold dollars here made a difference nationally in the lives of so many. The Tuskegee University was instrumental in training the Tuskegee Airmen, a force of African-American pilots who fought in World War II. If you've seen the movie about them. Their alumni include singer Lionel Richie, author Ralph Ellison, and the nation's first Black four-star general, Daniel Chappie James Jr. Tuskegee has produced more African-American generals than any other institution in the U.S. It is also the #1 producer of African-American aerospace science engineers in the nation, and the largest producer of African-Americans with baccalaureate degrees in math, science, and engineering in Alabama. And a lot of that started right here in the Gold Hills of Fairbanks. So I thought that was really wonderful to have this unsung hero finally recognized, and I hope it's a story that we share with many others, that one of our very own made it big and made a difference worldwide. And with that, I conclude my comments. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeff.
Mr. Williams?
Well, my comment will be, just to let everybody know, give them a heads up on what's going on. I got 2 letters or 2 notifications in reference about Alaska gambling expansions. Now, that was dealing with several bills. So when that does come out, and if I get any more information, I'll let individuals know. But we really need to look at that, because the nonprofit organizations really benefit from us pulling pull tabs and stuff like that. So we have to be very, very careful whether or not it's yes or no. Do we want those individuals in here? And getting back to what Jeff had said, Councilman Jeff had said, Tuskegee Airmen that group was one of the best fighter pilots out there, because and the reason why I know this is because I did a little research. Those guys, when the bombers would go in, the Tuskegee guys would go in with them. And there was one part of the story which they told the guys had on their helmets and stuff like this because they had to make an emergency landing. And what I want to say, the backlash that they got from the individuals, it would have upset you, but they played it off. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, because those guys had their act together when they were flying. But did you not know that the Tuskegee Airmen guys, they didn't fly brand new planes. They flew secondhand planes and did real good at flying those secondhand planes. And the mechanics we had, they were even excellent. But that's that, okay? And what I'd like to do is to quote something is Black history or any history should be done all the time. We should never, ever, ever forget our history, because if we forget history, what happens? It repeats over again. And we all know we got some, how can I do this and say nicely? We got some history out there that we don't even need to repeat. Not at all, okay? But what I did was I came up with some individuals that came up with some real good quotes. Now you got to listen at what they say and know the time frame that these individuals are living in. But I got a little paragraph before and one after, so I'm going to read that and then I'm done. Black History Month is celebrated in February. We all know that. And like I said, you know it should be done all the time. Any history you should always go back on that. Let me see, Black Americans' achievements in history reflects on the years of the struggle that have brought us to the time of struggle and hope. The following quotations are just some of the advanced thinking these people went through. Marcus Garvey, this is what he said. People without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. And that's self-explanatory, okay? And if anybody got any problems with that, come to me and I'll tell you what I think it is. Another one is, it is easy to do right of fear, but it's better to do right because right is right. And in my way of thinking, treat everybody the same. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Louis Farrakhan said that. Here's a third one I came up with. Oh, I got a bunch of them, but I won't do them all today. All right. I got a bunch. It says, Ozzie Davis says, like exercise strengthens the body, struggle strengthens character. So when you out there and people are cracking on and they're being not so nice, just go with the flow and make it work. Okay. And my fourth one is, fear of something is at the root of hate for others, and hate within will eventually destroy the hater. Now you can take that any way you want and look at it how you want it. I know how I would take it. And my fifth one is, don't let adverse facts stand in the way of good decisions. Now, Colin Powell said that. Now, you know what he went through when he was coming up. Just think about why he said that. And I thought about that in his whole career, okay? The guy was good. It says, the founding principles of this nation that all people are created equal. All people are created equal and have the right to be treated equally throughout their lives. Still is a way, and we still have a way to go. We got a way to go. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Deep racial, inequalities and systematically racism. You know what I'm trying to say on that one. That continues to plague our nation will be the nation's Achilles heel. Things are done so systematically that some people don't even realize. Those that do, you have to work around these individuals that think in that way, okay? And it says the eyes of millions of Americans need to launch a protest and stir the nation's conscience. Our whole nation has to get off their act. Well, it doesn't bother me, no big deal. No, if it affects one person, it affects everybody. And I'm done.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Church?
Oh, I'm gonna start this every time.
I would like to say thank you, Mr. Welch, for being here with us today, present on Zoom. I'm sorry you didn't get your time to speak, but it's wonderful. I would like to say again, congratulations to Kira O'Connor for Student of the Month. That is a wonderful. And as a nation, we all need to pray. We all need to pray together. I know church, state, and shouldn't really come together, but everybody else has given their opinions tonight. I think we need to pray together as a family, pray together as a community, and pray for peace, hope, and love. And we'll go the distance.
Thank you, Mr. Church. Mayor Pro Tem Clack?
With all that being said, I agree with everything and everyone that spoke. There was something I'd like to say. It says, yesterday is over. Change is the sense of life. Embrace it and enjoy the new life changes coming your way. So with the statements that were made and knowing that this is Black History Month, this is where we need to step forth and make these changes and embrace all these new changes that are coming. And that's all I have to say for tonight. Everybody drive safely. I want to thank Kira for all her excellence in school, and her parents bought her out. So that's about it.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Skips, seconded by Ms. Clack. We are adjourned at 8:10. 8:11.
For the record, Sandy, I just wanted to give you a copy.